Welcome back. Now, in Nigeria, the fight against crime and insecurity is often overshadowed by allegations that some of the very people tasked with protecting citizens are aiding criminal activities. And so that leads us to our topic this morning, which is on the complicity of security personnel in criminal matters in Nigeria. Joining us this morning via Zoom is Emeka Umabalasi. He's a criminologist, a researcher, and head of International Society for Civil Liberties and Rule of Law, Inter-Society. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, my sister. Good morning.
Now, given the repeated allegations of bandits, terrorists, and armed groups operating in certain regions with little interference, how often and in what forms do security personnel collude with these criminal actors?
Well, it's obvious. You know, you need every allegation on the board. You nip it in the board, sorry. When you can effectively substantiate or back up the allegation with incontrovertible pieces of evidence. So, with respect to the complicity of our security forces in the area of management of insecurity and other unsafe conditions. I mean, there are a lot of evidence to support, to back up the segment of the society that hold that particular view. If you take a general look at what is going on in Nigeria in times of insecurity, you know, you have different types of insecurity in the system. You take, for instance, in northern Nigeria, where you have security forces teaching out statements almost 2 times in a week, telling you how many people, how many bandits or how many criminals they have killed, and how many arrested, and the number of people rescued, and what have you. Propose it with what is the situation on the ground. You find out that it is not true. And that is the thing. Then take it from the angle of what is going on. It is only in Nigeria that members of jihadists or terrorist entities are allowed to address the media, because when you address a press, you are addressing the world, to talk to the world, with by brandish or with AK-47, loaded AK-47, AK-49, and other sophisticated weapons, you know, hang around their neck or on their shoulder. Or you see them brandishing those sophisticated weapons while talking to the world. It has never happened. It has never happened, sorry. It has never happened in any serious-minded society. Members of criminal entities, especially terrorist jihadists, you know, can only display that whereby they must have gone through processes of disarmament, demobilization, rehabilitation, the radicalization and transformation. And such issues are better handled, or processes are better handled by the United Nations, relevant United Nations agencies. But in this country, you see the opposite is the case. So, for those who are making the allegation, this is a very typical case of, and after those people have addressed the world, the next few hours, you see the defense headquarters and other security top hierarchy dishing out statement telling you how many bandits or what have you they have neutralized or what have you. So you look at it to find out the whole thing is a farce. It's false. You come to the eastern part of the country, we have maintained steadily and clearly that security forces drafted to this part of the country have a different entirely on a different mission. They are not here to curb the problem or solve the problem of insecurity. In fact, they have been identified as one of the generators of insecurity and other unsafe conditions, especially in the area of complicity, in the area of discriminatory law enforcement and operations, in the area of lack of neutrality, in the area of ethno-religious profiling, in the area of mass criminalization, class criminalization, forced labeling, hearsay conclusions, and all that and all that. But most importantly, in the area of roadway or roadblock corruption and brutality. So, I mean, with these facts I have laid out, we understand that those who are accusing the security forces of complicity are not know exactly what they are saying. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Omar Walasi, recently 3 soldiers bagged life jail for, arms racketeering with aiding and abetting of the enemy in Borno State. How deep do you think our personnel is involved in criminal matters in Nigeria? What does the law say about this? And from your experience, what factors contribute to insecurity and the involvement of security personnel in criminal acts?
I think it is a general problem of system failure. It is a general problem of system failure. The country is not. I've granted interview to this year alone. I've granted interview to over 2 dozens of international journalists, and they kept asking, complaining. In the course of interview, they raised this issue of how do we generate data, and the reason why they are asking about how we generate data is because data management in Nigeria is one of the worst in the world, or one of the poorest in the world. And then they are talking about state actor data management, not non-state actor data management. What does it tell you? This is a signal of system failure. System failure. So the system is not intact. The system is not working. For instance, we are supposed to, when you give arms to members of security personnel, they have schedule, they have processes and procedure of collecting and bearing arms. But this time around, do you know that a police officer can bear an AK-47 with the munitions involved for a period of 2 weeks without having it submitted to, having it routinely submitted at the station of his assignment or his origin? But in the normal circumstance, no security officer is supposed to have arms for a day without having it submitted to the armory division. But in this country, we have it. So it's not only, you just mentioned 3 soldiers. That one is just isolated case. The National Security Advisor has said it openly. In our report on last year, you have those documented. National Security has come out to say the security forces in Nigeria are found to be colluding with all these members of violent criminal entities by releasing arms to them, by exchanging arms with them, and so on and so on. The arms movement in Nigeria has messed up the demarcation between the illicit and the illicit. When you talk of illicit arms movement, like small arms and light weapons, you talk of the small arms, illicit arms and light weapons in wrong. Illicit movement of arms. You talk of arms in right hands, that is the non-armed state actors. But in this country, there is no longer difference. You can't determine, you cannot even checkmate, you cannot even determine the proper management, whether there is a proper management in the area of movement of arms. How secure are our arms are. That is arms that are in the possession of state actors. How secure are they? So you have free movement of arms between the state actors, that is armed state actors, and armed non-state actors. That messes up the whole system. So it's a clear this thing. So it's no longer hidden. the National Security Advisor said it, I think the Chief of Defense Staff said it, you know, and so on and so forth. So it's not hidden. It's not if somebody levels an accusation, that person cannot be accused of telling lies because his statement must have emanated from what we call speeches from the throne. Thank you.
All right. The governors in the Southeast are of the opinion that there is no crisis, there is no insecurity in the Southeast. But, you know, issues like this come up and, you know, defense keep, you know, coming up. But then these items, or should I say ammunitions, were smuggled in. They said it was smuggled into Ebonyi State and Enugu State. So what does this say about the security issues in the Southeast?
Well, I think talking about the governor, there have been economic coup with truth. Some of them are even part of the generators of insecurity in the Southeast. If you want to determine, find out more, just do a kind of, it is researchable. Conduct a social research between the state of insecurity in the Southeast before June 2015 and the state of insecurity now. Now, if you go deeper, you find out that the governors are involved. If not some, if not most of them are involved in the insecurity ravaging the Southeast. Because of one attempt to actualize one political vested interest or the other, they now knowingly or unknowingly plunge their region into what looks like an intractable state of insecurity. And I must tell you something in logical terms and the technical terms. A governor of a state can be involved in anything untoward, such as insecurity, either directly or vicorously. If a governor of the state is the chief security officer who has oversight control over security establishment, and lapses are reported, and he fails to address those lapses, and even when he has the capacity, that governor cannot escape from liability. He can best be accused of being vicorously liable. Another segment of it is when the same governor, you know, direct his security personnel to go and carry out political crime or crime against persons and properties, and there is evidence that governor will go in for as a direct liability person of for involvement in direct liability. So the governors don't even have their statistics correct, and they can never have their statistics correct because they are not they don't have the political will. They're also not sincere, and they're also part of the problem. Just to govern your state for 480 years, you succeeded, you end up plunging your state into the future, risking the future security of your state, risking the future security of the territory that binds the state, risking the future security of the citizens and properties of the state. So that is the situation on the ground. So in the Southeast, we all know, especially those of us who are investigators or researchers, we know the origin and the of insecurity in the South, type of insecurity or types of insecurity in the Southeast, and the key players involved in the generation of insecurity in the Southeast. So insecurity is everywhere in Nigeria. You ask yourself, what was the state of insecurity in terms of geopolitical spread as at June 2015, and what is the state of insecurity now? So you look at it, you also compare the state of insecurity and their types and the East types from between June 2015 to July 2009, when the Boko Haram Islamic uprising started in Nigeria. So when you take a look at all these things, you find out that substantial part of the insecurity as we have it today was externally planted and the state actor originated or generated.
Right, now let's look at some of the other causes that have been passed on as reasons for this complicity of security personnel. Now, there have been claims of issues of diversion and mismanagement of funds to handle or to tackle these issues of insurgency. And then many others also point to issues of poor pay and welfare as drivers of corruption in the security sector. And just like you mentioned, political interference, you know, the governors who have their security personnel and leading to criminal collaboration as well. How would you say that these factors, are also at play when looking at the issue of complicity of security personnel in Nigeria, in criminal activities in Nigeria?
I look at it from the angle of greed. If you understand what it means to be, you know, a security operative, the law addresses them as an officer of the law. So, I mean, you look at what is the pay, what type of pay are we talking about? In as much as we agree that anybody that is working for a government, the welfare of the person is supposed to be well taken care of. But at the same time, what is it that is being taken care of? Are you paying at the end of the month as a security officer or officer of the law to do what? Is it for you to eat? When actually everything about the person is taken care of by government. There is a provision for health. There is a provision for shelter. There is a provision for arms and ammunition. And there is also a provision for in-service and out-service training and retraining, including further courses. Many of these guys enter the security forces as a secondary school leaver or certificate holder or first degree holder, but they have, while in the security forces, they have undergone several courses, advanced courses, cutting across the world. And what agency is responsible for those expenses? The expenses involved, were they executed by the officers involved? The answer is no. You know, so government takes care of everything. It's like a reverend father or a reverend sister in a Catholic church. If you see a reverend father you know years back and you now know that he's a PhD holder, a professor, you do not be surprised, because it is most likely that substantial part of his post-priesthood education, you know, the course was facilitated by the Catholic Church and so many other churches like that. So what are we been saying? So I think it's not enough reason. And again, if you are a member of, if you are serving the government, there must be room for patriotism. There must be room for patriotism. It's just like we in the human rights. Nobody is paying us. Good thing we have our various businesses and all that. If you come to inter-society, most of us are volunteers. But the good thing is that there are also professionals like lawyers, like criminologists, like who are also like businessmen. So now we do all these things we do free of charge. Nobody's paying us. It is an extension of patriotism. And I don't think there is the way the country is. I don't think there is a amount to pay somebody that will be enough. So you look at those countries that are poorer and poorer than Nigeria. They have security forces. You have Chadian gendarmes. You have Nigerian gendarmes. These are the countries that Nigeria that have, I mean, their GDP and TNP is nothing to write about. But they still have security forces. So that is the thing. So the point I'm trying to make is that in the issue of poor welfare, this and what have you. I mean, if you are a security man and you develop yourself, I mean, by now the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Air Force, the Nigerian Navy, the Nigerian Police Force, they are supposed to be building bridges, constructing roads, engaging in engineering design, researching on what are they, giving us how to connect, how to develop a kind of, presenting papers on how to develop one ambitious project in Nigeria or the other. If you go to China, you see what is going on in China. Many of these designs were done by security members of their security personnel. So you don't just enter into security to know how to hawk and shoot guns. You're also there to improve yourself. Some of them are being sent to Bulgaria, Russia, and many other places that are the personnel of the DSS. Are you telling me that they're the one taking care of their business? So that argument does not hold water. As you are now, you are partly contributing to the training, welfare of every security man you see on the road. You, who is anchoring this program, their earnings are indirectly contributing to the welfare, to the upkeep of every policeman you see on the road. So what are they talking about? In as much as, like I said, there is need for good welfare package for them, but they're also very dull. They are redundant. They are sluggish. They are undeveloped. They are not scientific, and all that. They don't develop. Look at their counterparts in other parts of the country. Check out what is happening in South Africa. The best security services, private security services in the world or in Africa are in South Africa. Check out those behind them, former members of security services. That's what they are talking about. So yeah, we don't know. The security forces we know are those who know how to use guns to steal people.
All right, Mr. Umar-Walase.
Steal things and water.
Finally, since we're talking about security issues in Nigeria, let's talk about mediation and dialogue. Do you agree with the idea that the recent peace deal in, say, some states, or for example, the recent peace deal in Katsina robs Nigerians and victims of justice? You know, what is your opinion on Nigeria's peace deals with terrorists in Nigeria?
It's rubbish. It's nonsense. I have mentioned it partly here. You don't do that. How can you? What are you negotiating? Then what moral ground do you have? Do not forget that the security forces in Nigeria, the armed forces, Nigerian armed forces and police, paramilitaries and intelligence agencies, have substantially been funded with borrowed money, running into trillions of naira in the past 10 years. There was a place we have it in our report. So what are you even saying? What are you negotiating? What is the essence of spending all this money going to World Bank, Islamic Development Bank, and China Bank to borrow to fund security sector, only for the members of the security forces to fail to protect the vulnerable members of the society who make up 95% of the population, only for them to start telling you they are negotiating with the same people you have identified as being the perpetrators behind the massacre of tens of thousands of Nigerians, irrespective of their religious or ethnic divide, and the burning of churches and other properties. And let me also tell you, so it tells you that the security forces management in Nigeria is nothing to write home about. You come to Southeast, for instance, we released a statement yesterday, gave instances of what is happening. You have these imbalances, you have a situation where you flood one state with Muslim senior officers from the north. In Imo State, the top security establishments in Imo State are headed by 4. The Naval Command, Naval Base in Oguta, head of Naval Base, Hausa Fulani officer, Northern Muslim officer, head of Air Force Base 211, 211, Inowere, Muslim officer from the north. It's a commissioner of police in Imo State, Muslim officer from the north. The commander of 34 Brigade in Obize, Muslim officer from the north. In what state? What kind of security are you providing here? So that is exactly what they are saying. So the people are more serious. The time they are serious, we know. They are not serious about.
All right,
Mr.
Emeka Umar-Walase.
Gambling in Nigeria.
All right.
That is the correct
we apologize.
position.
This is where we'll have to cut you short on that conversation. We're always, delighted to have you in the studio. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, that is where we end that conversation on complicity of security personnel in criminal matters in Nigeria. We just spoke to Emeka Umar-Walase. He's a criminologist and the head of International Society for Civil Liberties and Rule of Law. Over to you, Uche.
Yes, a very big thank you to our guests for sharing those thoughts with us. We'll pause here for a quick break. Do stay with us as our conversations continue shortly.